Assalamu alaikum. This is Aziz Ahmed uh, talking to you about the blockade at Gaza and the humanitarian effort launched by Greta Thunberg and her global summit flotilla, in which ex-senator from Pakistan, Senator Mushtaq Ahmed, also participated along with other Pakistanis, while the government of Pakistan looked on and uh, tried to sell out the country's interests and the interests of the Muslims around the world to their patron in Washington, D.C., the bully President Trump. At the end of the video, please also have a 1 minute look at the dialogue or the statement by Rabbi Feldman, in which he states that what's the difference between the Jewish religion and Zionism. We should differentiate between Zionism and the religion of the Torah, as it's also one of the holy books of our religion. While the world protested against the Gaza atrocities, the puppet regime of President Trump in Pakistan, led by the Field Marshal Asim Munir and his Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, banned protests, while die-hard Palestinian supporters like Fatma Bhutto and Shireen Mazari kept on airing their views vociferously.
The global Shamud flotilla was the biggest ever attempt to break Israel's illegal and inhumane siege by sea. And it is a story of global international solidarity, of people stepping up when our governments failed to do so, of people saying that my leaders, so-called leaders who are supposed to represent me, who continue to fuel a genocide, death and destruction, they do not represent me. And this is a last resort. That this mission has to exist, it's a shame. It is a shame. And I could talk for a very, very long time about our mistreatment and abuses in our imprisonment, trust me, but that is not the story. What happened here was that Israel, while continuing to worsen and escalate their genocide and mass destruction with genocidal intent, attempting to erase an entire population, an entire nation in front of our very eyes, they once again violated international law by preventing humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza while people are being starved. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media and companies. It is our responsibility to end that complicity. And I also... No, not heroes. No, we are doing the bare minimum. What we are doing is not in any way, no one has to come to the rescue of Palestinian people. What we are doing is hearing and acting upon their calls for people all over the world to take action and end our complicity, to use our privileges, our platforms, to take a stance against this that is in every way unjustifiable. Okay, let me be very clear. There is a genocide going on in front of our very eyes. A live-streamed genocide on all of our phones. No one has the privilege to say we are not aware of what is happening. No one in the future will be able to say we did not know. Under international law, states have a legal obligation to act to prevent and to stop a genocide from happening. That means ending complicity, applying real pressure, and ending arms transfers. We are not seeing that. We are not even seeing the bare minimum from our governments. Our international international systems are betraying Palestinians. They are not even able to prevent the worst war crimes from happening. And I will never, ever comprehend how humans can be so evil that you would deliberately starve millions of people living trapped under an illegal siege as a continuation of decades and decades of suffocating oppression, apartheid, occupation. What we aim to do with the Global Sumud Flotilla was to step up when our governments failed to do their legal obligation. Our governments are talking about ensuring human rights and the importance of getting humanitarian aid into Gaza while failing to do their part and while failing to even the bare minimum ensuring safety for this mission. This mission should not have to exist. And it is a shame that the Global Sumud Flotilla was the biggest ever attempt to break Israel's illegal and inhumane siege by sea. And it is a story of global, international solidarity, of people stepping up when our governments failed to do so, of people saying that my leaders, so-called leaders who are supposed to represent me, who continue to fuel a genocide, death and destruction, they do not represent me. And this is a last resort. That this mission has to exist is a shame. It is a shame. And I could talk for a very, very long time about our mistreatment and abuses in our imprisonment, trust me. But that is not the story. What happened here was that Israel, while continuing to worsen and escalate their genocide and mass destruction with genocidal intent, attempting to erase an entire population, an entire nation in front of our very eyes, they once again violated international law by preventing humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza while people are being starved. And we want to also emphasize that we do not only need humanitarian aid to enter Gaza, we need an end to the siege, we need an end to the occupation and the oppression. This action was challenging our extremely violent business as usual that is preventing these war crimes from happening. And that is what this story is about. We cannot take our eyes away from Gaza, from all the places of the world that are suffering, living on the forefronts of this business as usual systems. Congo, Sudan, Afghanistan, Gaza, and many, many more. What we are doing is the bare minimum. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media, and companies. It is our responsibility to end that practice.
You're heroes! Thank you! Thank you!
No, not heroes.
You are! Thank you!
No, we are doing the bare minimum. What we are doing is not in any way. No one has to come to the rescue of Palestinian people. What we are doing is here acting upon their calls for people all over the world to take action and end our complicity, to use our privileges, our platforms to take a stance against
Free Palestine!
happening. And I will never, ever comprehend how humans can be so evil that you would deliberately starve millions of people
Fuck Turkey. And fuck Israel.
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह 5-6 दिन इसराइल के बदनामी ज़माना नेगेव डिजर्ट जेल के अंदर रहने के बाद हमें रिहाई मिल चुकी है। इस दौरान हमारे हाथों में हथकड़ियां डाल के पीछे बांधी गई, हमारे पाँव में बेड़ियां और जंजीरें डाल दी गई, हमारे आंखों पर पट्टियां बांधी गई, हमारे ऊपर कुत्ते छोड़े गए, हमारे ऊपर गन्स रखी गई और हमें बदतरीन किस्म का टॉर्चर किया गया। हमने 3 दिन भूख हड़ताल की अपने मुतालिबात के लिए। नो एक्सेस टू एयर, नो एक्सेस टू ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, नो एक्सेस टू मेडिकेशन, नो एक्सेस टू लाइफ, किसी किस्म की चीज तक हमें रसाई नहीं थी। एक बदनामी जमाना जेल था, लेकिन अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हम रिहा हो चुके हैं और फलस्तीन की आजादी की जिद्दोजहद जारी रहेगी। इस नाकाबंदी को हम तोड़ेंगे, बार बार इसके लिए जाएंगे, गजा को बचाने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे और जो जेनोसाइड के मुजरिम हैं उन मुजरिमों को कैफर किरदार तक पहुंचाएंगे इंशाअल्लाह। मुजाहिमत जारी रहेगी, अडियाला जेल से इसराइली जेलों तक फलस्तीन की आजादी की जिद्दोजहद जारी रहेगी और मुजाहिमत की जिद्दोजहद इंशाअल्लाह जारी रहेगी। जल्द आऊंगा पाकिस्तान और पूरी तफसील जो इस प्लोटेला की है और इसराइली जेलों की है आपको बताऊंगा, लेकिन अपनी इस जिद्दोजहद को अक्सा की आजादी, फलस्तीन की आजादी, गजा की आजादी तक जिद जारी रखेंगे। इसराइल के खात्मे तक हमारी ये जिद्दोजहद इंशाअल्लाह जारी रहेगी। पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद, फलस्तीन जिंदाबाद, पाक फलस्तीन दोस्ती पाइंदाबाद।
غزنا بروحي معاكي ولو بلاك الدنيا جنة من وجع بحرك يا روح الروح وجعنا احنا نسقط ان سقطت ولن تسقط لا ولن نسقط ما دمنا باقونا صبا كنهر الغيث يا غزنا بروحي.
It is not the difference of religions which is causing this conflict. The state of Israel does not represent all Jews and certainly does not represent the Jewish religion. According to Jewish religion, all of this is criminal. All of this is forbidden. Basics of Jewish belief teaches that Jews are in a divinely decreed exile. We are even forbidden to create a sovereignty for ourselves. But especially when this is by killing, stealing, oppressing an entire people. This is not only criminal according to international law. This is a true violation of Judaism. And still, those people who choose not to follow Judaism misuse that very same religion to justify all those crimes forbidden in Judaism. The root cause is this criminal occupation which is oppressing an entire people. We have to end this occupation in its entirety. If people will ask me my advice, the leaders of Israel should wake up tomorrow morning and step out of the Knesset and return the land back to indigenous population. I guarantee peace.
Hello, this is going to be a long video, but I have a lot to say, so bear with me. And we are now many who are safe and released from imprisonment and absurd mistreatment, but many of our comrades from Global Summit Flotilla are not, and they need to be released now. But most importantly, we are not the story. Thousands of Palestinians are currently being held in Israeli dungeons without a trial, hundreds of which are children. Millions are living trapped under an illegal siege in an apartheid state and occupation, who are being systematically starved and bombed to pieces. Basic societal infrastructure is being targeted and destroyed, and Palestinians are being systematically deprived of their very basic rights and means to survive, such as producing their own food, controlling their own territorial waters, and children being able to go to school. And the whole world knows that this did not start on October the 7th, 2023. And these Israeli war crimes have happened with impunity and with help and legitimizations from our governments, institutions, and media. And this is the story here that people should be focusing on. Do not let me and other volunteers on the flotilla be a distraction. And the Global Summit Flotilla is about solidarity with Palestinians, international solidarity. And what Israel did was mainly not to illegally abduct us in international waters and abuse us in prison, but it was that it stopped a humanitarian mission and violating international law by preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, a population that are being systematically starved by Israel. And this is a blatant violation of international humanitarian and maritime law. And I also want to make it very clear that our imprisonment by Israel is a direct result of our governments. They keep talking about the importance of upholding human rights and international law and to get aid into Gaza. And then when we do their job, trying to do just that while being completely peaceful and abiding by international law, they fail to ensure our safety. And this mission should not have to exist. It is a last resort when all means fall short and when those in power fail to step up and do the bare minimum. States have a legal obligation to end their complicity in genocide, which the UN Commission now also has confirmed that it is. And this current lack of willingness to do so is a crime against humanity. Israel does not have immunity from international law, even though it might seem like it from their genocidal propaganda. No human being is worth more than any other, and that also applies to Israelis. It's absurd that this even has to be said. And just to have it said once again, of course we are not running errands for Hamas, nor are we terrorists. Israel think they can get away with only recycling their old arguments and smear campaigns to justify their atrocities without addressing the evidence of them committing a genocide. But the world sees through their desperate lies. Terrorism is defined as the calculated act of using violence to incite fear in a population for political control. Is that really what this peaceful humanitarian mission carrying food, medicine, baby formula in line with international law was doing? One can really ask who the real terrorist is here. And I stand by what I have said and stood for since I became an activist at the age of 13. I will continue to fight for a free world, a world free of all forms of oppression and racism, where we put human and planetary well-being over short-term economic profit and geopolitical control for a few. And that might sound naive, but I would any day choose being seen as naive over having double standards and not doing anything in the face of injustice. And I urge everyone to join the global uprising for justice, freedom and equality, and to apply real pressure on our governments and institutions to fulfill their legal obligations to ensure human rights for everyone. We have truth, morale, international law, justice, love, history, and solidarity of the world, as well as basic fucking common sense on our side. The war criminals have hate, lies, and weapons. Justice will prevail. Free Palestine.